a great magician. Your clothes are red!
Hey, I'm Jerk120, and today I'm going to be teaching you the classic pass. It is a classic sleight of hand move in Magic. In slow motion looks like that. That gets the top half of the deck to the bottom, or you can do other methods to get the bottom half to the top. But this is the classic pass where the top half of the deck is going to the bottom. And first things first, we're not going to be using cards in this tutorial because they will have a tendency to spill all over the place, and we don't want that. And also, cards can be a bit too big. Get a lot of complaints about, you know, what do I do if I have small hands and the cards spill all over? So we can do one of two things. We can use 2 cards to practice, but what I'd recommend is using 2 stable cards, like 2 credit cards, or a credit card in your license, or gift cards are all the same size. So I have my old film ID here and Dave & Buster's power card. But if you don't have any of this stuff and mom and dad won't let you borrow it, then just do it with 2 cards. Follow along with 2 cards. I want to show you what's happening here. What's happening is we have the card that we need to be on top of the deck, right? Or whatever situation. But more often than not, we have a card that we need to be on top of the deck, and we're making it appear like we're losing it in the middle. In this case, it's the 5 of diamonds. What's going to happen is I got a pinky break here to let me know where that 5 of diamonds is. It's right here. And from here, my hands come over to square the deck up, which they do, but what is all going on underneath is these hands are lifting the packet up, allowing me to lift the bottom packet up, and then allowing me to curl the top packet to the bottom, and that puts our 5 on top. And so that is all what's happening, but in a very small and fast motion. So that is the pass. So let's get to our 2 cards. Put this one in your hand. Either hand, the hands that you deal cards with or you hold your cards with. I hold cards in my left hand, so either mimic me or mirror me. Just do it with whichever hand you hold cards with. Now, some people only need the fleshy part of their finger in there to execute this move. I kind of dig it a little deep. That's just the way I've been doing it for 11 years, and it's treated me well thus far. I don't see a reason to change my way. But the biggest thing about doing this or any pass is experimenting. The way I do the pass with my hand motions is my pinky is way in here, my index finger is up on top, my thumb is over on top of it. I hold the bottom packet with my fingers on the far left side, and some people have their thumb up here and they have their index finger underneath and they have their pinky just barely holding on to it, and then they'll have their hands in the middle of the packet and they'll do that. It's all up to you and your preferred comfort level of what just feels more right. So try different things. If the way I'm teaching it feels uncomfortable, first thing you should try doing is putting your hands and fingers in different places and practice with that. With that being said, this is the way I do it. Have our hand on top of the card we need to get to the top. Pinky in between the 2 packets. I have my index finger over here because that's going to help balance the top packet. My middle and thumb fingers come to the very left edge corners of just the bottom packet. I'm not trying to hold the top at all. I'm not trying to block it, prevent it from moving, anything. I'm just grabbing the bottom. My thumb is over the top packet, and what's happening is you're going to, under your hands, lift your pinky and your ring finger up with that top packet sandwiched in between them with your ring finger balancing the packet. Okay? So balancing. And while this is happening, it's trying to bring it underneath without too much motion of a wrist kill. You don't want to break your wrist. You want it more in your fingers. So if you can keep your wrists as still as you can in your hand and everything, and just have your fingers do the work, you're in a good spot. So this goes up, and the reason I hold this over here is because this is also going to be, our thumb is being used as a fulcrum to lift the bottom packet to the top. So as soon as that starts to clear, I lift up, and as soon as it's cleared, I put it back down. And that is kind of the way that I'm going about it. Also, these fingers are slightly pushing into the thumb, because what that's going to allow it to do is, you know, there's fleshy parts in the thumb here. It's going to give us a few more, I know, doesn't seem that big of a deal, a few more millimeters of space to clear that top packet, and it's also going to make the cards naturally bow upwards. See? So, and this is what I would suggest doing, is just do this over and over with these cards or with your 2 cards. What's nice about the more rigid cards is they resemble a deck kind of more in their sturdiness. These, you know, they might bend, they might bow, you might ruin them. Don't know if you want to quite do that. You can definitely get the pattern down, and doing it with these cards is going to get you small hands magicians used to doing it with these size cards. So, you know, if you're at school and you don't have things like this, just grab 2 cards and be performing the pass to yourself under the table, or at lunch, or when you're walking to your next class, or if you're at work and it's a lunch break, whatever. You can find a ton of reasons. You can be browsing around Target or any store and just be walking around doing this with either 2 packets, finally working your way up to a full deck. So again, even get rid of like half the deck and then perform the pass with half the deck. You might feel a lot more comfortable doing it like that. Move your thumb over here. Maybe you feel comfortable having your thumb over to the side, having your fingers in the middle of the deck, you know, as opposed to in the furthest corners to the thumb. Maybe you want your thumb up here and your index finger down here. There's, you know, again, uncomfortable for me, but you guys might have a completely different experience with it than I do, and I did. This would definitely be my suggested way to get used to the muscle memory of what the pass is. So again, I have my, when you're starting out, bury your pinky in as deep as you can, because that's going to allow you to have the grip that you need. And then start to work your way out to where you barely have any of your pinky in there. And that is a part of the classic pass. And let me go over some angles with you guys. Just like any other break, you're doing your best to cover the angles where there's not a break from them seeing any what looks to be splits in the cards. So your index finger perhaps covering this corner, just so you know where that is. And then when the time is right, again, you push that bottom packet into your thumb, lifts up, brings down. Now again, this is the classic pass, so does it look invisible? No, because we haven't added any elements to make it invisible. This is the simple motion of bringing the top half of the deck to the bottom to get you used to additional moves that we're going to add to it down the road. And that's even if you need additional moves to it, because the pass was not designed to be invisible. It is a move that you should do when your spectator is distracted or looking away, or you misdirect them, or you redirect them to something else, a Sharpie or something to hold on to, or you simply say their name. Hey, so Megan, so what we're gonna do is take blah 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 blah, and you say their name, they'll look up at you. I promise, they will look up at you, especially in the tone of which you say it. A questioning, Steve, they'll look up, you know? So, that's a good way to get them to look away from the deck. But, we aren't making the pass invisible yet. This is just the classic pass. Trying to get your hands and fingers used to the motion. Here's an alternate angle in slow motion of what that looks like. My pinky's in there. I put my thumb on top. That's just me. You guys practice different stuff. Mainly, it's almost like a biddle grip that comes over and grips the closest edge to my thumb. The cards go up. This finger keeps it balanced. As soon as I feel that there's that open space there, as soon as I feel that, I lift the bottom packet to the top, curl the hand underneath, continue to square it up. So you're really doing it all in the motion that you're squaring the deck up. As far as angles, my best suggestion would be to take your phone, your camera phone, any camera that you can. I'd say a camera to start out with, because you're going to want to watch what you're doing in real life until you can get to the point where you can look away and do the pass without looking. But get a camera and do exactly what I'm doing. Angle the camera to which you expect your spectators to be, whether they're kind of right in front of you or whether you want the deck right below their eyes, and play out with different angles. Like, I can do the pass and sure, it looks okay, but if I angle myself even a little like this, I'm sure that it looks significantly better to some degree. Quite the contrary, if I go the opposite way, then I'm going to expose it. So you really just have to play with your angles, your camera, your hand positioning. You know, maybe just lock down your camera and change your body positioning using your camera as your spectator's eyes and where they'll be. So, you know, there's that. But then if you switch your whole body to where your hand's going to block the move, it's probably going to be a lot better because you have that huge block. But again, this move wasn't designed to be invisible, the classic pass. And then a bunch of new age evolving magicians came along and said we need to make that move as invisible as we possibly can. What are all the methods we can go about doing it? And I'll teach a good handful of invisible methods, but let's not worry about that right now. You just want to worry about the actual motion of getting the pass down and being able to, where you can sit on the couch and not look at the deck. And even if, you know, you do it slow and you take a while to get up to a speed that you feel comfortable doing it, then that's great. But once you get to the point where you don't have to look at the cards anymore, you don't have to look at what your hands are doing and breaking it down, then you will start to see leaps and bounds as far as development in your ability to execute this move to a standard that you like. Here are just some alternate angles so you guys can see what's going on. So, got our pinky break. Sandwich there. Again, go super deep when you're first practicing. You're just lifting it up. So these hands are lifting it up. My thumb is over it. These fingers come to the corner to prop that up to allow it to get tucked back down. And if you want to check it out with a full deck, it's like that. So really, if you're at home, break down what I'm doing. Like, where are my hands placed? When do I move what at the time in which, you know? But again, it's all experimenting, so I'm not saying do it just like me. There are people who do the pass far better than I do. But I can still do it and not get caught doing it. Put time into this move because it is a super, super good move. And I think it's pretty important in the world of close-up card magic, which hopefully a lot of you are here for. So, I imagine you want to learn the pass. Leave questions below, comments below, and throughout this entire series on the pass, hopefully I can go back and answer a lot of the questions, do some reviews, and continue to teach you different ways about going to do the pass. Now I'm flubbing my words, but hopefully that was a good breakdown. Use 2 cards, use smaller cards. That's another reason these cards are smaller, so it gets you used to it. Then work your way up to 2 cards, eventually working your way up to half of the deck, you know, eventually to working yourself to the full 52 cards. I'm Jerk120, teaching you how to be a magician, not just teaching you magic. So go out and utilize this stuff in the real world, and throughout this past series we'll go through a couple different routines that you could do utilizing the pass. Be inspired to learn, aspire to disturb, and always rise above.
Watch my shoe. This is what I'm gonna try to do. This is like this technique that I learned how to do.
Did it 3 times and stuff.
Just like that.
Get out of here.
As you slide to the right, you're also going to pivot it so that it becomes perpendicular with that bottom packet.